Hey guys, it's Wendy Hutchinson. Have you gone through a lot of changes this year? I know I have. And I think sometimes with changes comes a lot of grief and a lot of suffering, and where people are dying around us. We're experiencing wars and chaos and maybe a lot of internal change. So if you're feeling like you're kind of riding the waves of change and grief and maybe some anger coming up for some of you, I wanted to hop on and share some tips on how to navigate it, but also maybe why we're experiencing it. And this is something that we're not really taught how to manage in our lives, right? So I'm just noticing with my clients, with myself, um, and just people in general, when I lean into the energy of the collective, going through a lot of deep emotional stuff. And I wanted to hop on today and talk a little bit about how we can navigate that, and also a little bit about what is coming up and why. So, my first feelings around it are that we are going through some sort of alchemy process, and we're changing. We're changing internally, and we're being triggered by a lot of events that are happening around us. And mostly what I'm feeling is a lot of endings. So, endings in personal relationships. Maybe people are transitioning, like your parents or friends or your siblings, or things are shifting, right? People are passing away. So there's a lot of grief if you have unhealed business with them, or even maybe deep grief if you've had tremendous love for them, and just the loss and having to feel the void of it in your heart. And I posted today a post on social media about grief, that grief is really just the sadness in your heart filled with tears. It's just that big space in your heart that just doesn't want to accept the loss, because change is hard and loss is hard. Endings are hard, however you're looking at it. And it can be endings in your professional life coming to an abrupt halt or pivot. It could be endings in your marriage, relationships, friendships, just so many endings. And I feel like we're being guided and directed to our highest and best life, but it can also feel terrible at the same time. So many of us I know are being called forward, and we're being called to step into more of our power and purpose. And sometimes that means letting go or releasing how we're relating to ourselves mentally. Maybe we've been holding ourselves back. And I know I've done that for myself for many years, and I'm being called into a new direction. So I kind of have to let go of that version of myself. And that creates some grief, letting go of aspects of us and people in our lives that related and served that aspect of us for some reason is really painful. Even when this is the right path for you. And either way, grief is grief, right? There's just this big cavernous space in our heart that hurts. And we just fill it with tears and emotions. And it's really painful. It's really painful. So I wanted to share some tips with you on how to navigate grief, how to navigate endings, and things that I've found really helpful to me. And so the first thing really is to be really present to your feelings, because the immediate response is just to stuff it, medicate it, numb it, right? Like that's our first go-to typically when we have pain, is to avoid it at all costs. But the only way to navigate through pain is to become a container large enough to hold it. And this is why people suffer and hold on to sadness and grief forever because they don't have the tools, right? They don't know how to navigate through grief. And it requires a tremendous amount of compassion for ourselves because we have to be really present to the feelings, and they're really hard feelings. And there's definitely tears involved and sadness and maybe some anger. Maybe something was, unhealed or unresolved, and you just feel like, I didn't get a chance to make that right, or I didn't get a chance to make peace with it. And now my chance is over. But I want to tell you that we always have the opportunity to heal within ourselves the pain, even if the other person is gone. Because we are really here to confront whatever is being triggered inside of us and then emotionally hold it, right? Process it, and then let it go, and we can finally accept it. So I think a big part of grief is, yes, the pain and the sadness and that hole or void we feel within ourselves, but it's also a lack of acceptance of what is. Suffering often is a lack of acceptance of what has happened or what is happening, the reality of it. So I think that it's really important, first and foremost, just to truly accept that things are going to be different going forward. And there's going to be maybe a new normal for you. And it's uncomfortable. And it can be terrifying also. And this can look like, how am I going to go forward without this person in my life? What kind of life am I going to create now that things have changed? It can look like fear of the unknown because we're being really pushed. Many of us are being really pushed to step into the unknown. And how do you manage that? And then also maybe some anger. Like, why should I have to deal with this? Why do I have to feel this? I don't want to feel this. I don't want to be in this situation. But here we are. So the key really, first and foremost, is to feel what you need to feel. Feel angry, feel sad, cry if you need to, rage if you need to, write it out in a journal if you need to. All those feelings have to go somewhere. So my first and foremost thing is accept the situation. My second thing is to feel your feelings. My third thing is to really show yourself love and compassion through this experience. Love and compassion and kindness. Don't judge yourself. Don't criticize what's coming up for you. Don't bury or avoid it, right? Be very kind and compassionate towards yourself every day when you feel your feelings, because your feelings are valid and your feelings matter and you matter, but you got to feel it to heal it. So be really present and be very compassionate and kind to yourself through this process. The second or third, we're on number 4 now. The fourth thing really is to honor what you need personally. If you need to take space for yourself, take it. If you need chocolate, eat it. If you need more hydration and rest, honor that. Maybe you need to get out in nature, do it. Ask yourself, what do I need today? And then if you can, create space and time, do it. Invite that in. Another important thing I find is really helpful is to really accept with love and grace the support of friends and family or anybody who wants to show up for you in your time of need. I think so many of us are like, I got this. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want anybody giving me support or help. I've got this. I mean, there's just this ridiculous ego bravado that we carry around and saying, I really can do this by myself. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just a reminder. And I have to remind myself of that. When I'm going through hard times, my friends are so incredible to me. They rally around me, they call, they text, they send cards. They're just such a beautiful support for me. And it took me a long time to accept it and receive it and be grateful and just really allow others to pour love into me because I'm worthy of it and you're worthy of it. You don't have to be a hero. You don't have to be a martyr. Allow the support and the love in because it really does help. It really does help. And my final thing that I'm going to suggest for you is that you have faith in the unfolding. We're just stepping into the unknown. All of us, we're just stepping into the unknown. Things are constantly shifting and changing. I know for myself, I'm really being pulled forward into a very uncomfortable place in my work to really put myself out there more and to create more content and to create programs and classes and all these things. I just launched my Deckable app. It's called Soul Power. So if you guys are looking for some inspiration, it's right on your phone. It's called Soul Power, and you can download the Deckable app for free. And you can type in Soul Power, and my deck will come up, and you can purchase it for less than $10. And you have that on your phone, motivation every single day. You just shuffle the deck on the phone. It's so fun, and you get an inspirational message. So I hope you guys will take all of these tools to heart. Know that you're going to make it. You've survived this far. You're going to make it. And if you can utilize these tools, you're going to thrive. Even though you feel like you're in the dark or you're alone or the pain is too much to bear, I know that there's beauty on the other side. So just stay with it. Love yourselves through. And I will talk to y'all soon. I love you guys. Take care. Bye.